There's a moment in every person's life, a quiet, crushing moment where the dream feels too big and the resources feel too small, where you look at where you are and where you want to be, and that distance doesn't feel like a road anymore. It feels like an ocean. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Maybe you're in that moment right now. Maybe you've been telling yourself, when I have more money, when the time is right, when things settle down, I'll start. But listen carefully. That moment you're waiting for is never coming. The only moment you will ever have is this one, right now. And what you do with it will determine everything. Because nothing worth having in this life is ever handed to you. Nothing is free. Ethan was 25 years old, living in a small Rust Belt town called Harlow Creek, the kind of place that used to mean something before the factories shut down, before people left, before hope became something people talked about in the past tense. But Ethan stayed, not because he lacked ambition, but because his family was there. And to Ethan, family was everything. His father, Walter, was a quiet, steel-spined man who had worked the same loading dock for 21 years. No complaints, no excuses, just work because people were counting on him. His mother somehow managed the household on a budget that didn't make sense, and his younger brother Noah, 14, full of energy and admiration, followed Ethan like a shadow, watching everything. Ethan felt that pressure. Some nights it fueled him. Other nights it felt like it might crush him. Because Ethan had a dream that didn't fit inside Harlow Creek. He wanted to build a business, a real one, something that could grow beyond the limits of that town, beyond the expectations people had for someone like him. He had a vision, a logistics and delivery service, simple, practical, needed. But here's the catch. Vision without resources feels like a fantasy, and Ethan had nothing. No money, no truck, no office, no investors. Just a second-hand bicycle, a cracked phone, and a father who, one evening, after listening to Ethan circle his doubts for an hour, finally looked up and said, "Stop talking about the mountain. Start walking toward it. You don't need the whole path. Just take the first step." That hit. That night, Ethan didn't sleep. He opened a notebook and wrote 2 words at the top of the page: "Start anyway." The next morning, Ethan walked through Harlow Creek differently, not as someone stuck there, but as someone searching. And what he found changed everything. The town was full of small, home-based businesses, bakers, craftsmen, creators, people making incredible products, but stuck. They couldn't reach customers. They couldn't deliver. They were trapped between creating something and getting it into someone's hands. And that gap? That was Ethan's opportunity. He knocked on his first door with nothing but an idea and belief. It belonged to Mrs. Patricia Owens, a retired teacher known for her incredible honey cakes. Ethan said, "Let me deliver your cakes. You focus on baking. For 2 weeks, you don't pay me. If I grow your business, we talk. If not, you lose nothing." She studied him, then handed him a box and said, "Don't drop it." He didn't. That week, Ethan rode through rain, broken roads, long distances. It didn't matter. He promoted her cakes everywhere, online groups, flyers, word of mouth. By the end of the week, she had more orders than she'd had in months. And just like that, something started. But here's where most people get it wrong. When things start working, they relax. Ethan didn't. He doubled down. At night, after exhausting days, he studied logistics, customer service, growth. Anything he could learn, he did. Because he understood something powerful. He wasn't just building a business, he was building himself. And that kind of work, it compounds. Slowly, then suddenly. Within months, he had clients, momentum, a better bike, and for the first time, he looked at something real and thought, "I built this."
But success doesn't arrive quietly. It gets tested. A large delivery company entered the town, cheaper, faster, more polished. And just like that, Ethan started losing clients, one after another. And for a moment, everything felt like it was slipping. But instead of panicking, Ethan asked a better question. What do I have that they don't? And that's when it clicked. They had systems. He had people. They had data. He had relationships. He knew the streets, the shortcuts, the customers, their habits, their needs. So he leaned into it. Personal notes, remembering details, building connections, creating a community between his clients. He didn't just deliver packages anymore. He built trust. And trust is something no big company can copy. Slowly, clients came back, one by one, because something was missing without him. And then something unexpected happened. An opportunity, a connection, a meeting that could change everything. Ethan almost didn't go. That voice in his head told him he wasn't ready. But you know that voice. It lies. He went anyway. And that decision changed everything. Funding, a van, a small team, a real system. The business grew. But more importantly, Ethan grew. Months later, he stood in front of a group of young people in the same town that once felt too small for his dreams. And he didn't give them a perfect speech. He told them the truth. I was broke. I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing. I started with almost nothing. And that was enough. Because the only thing that mattered was that I started. Then he paused and said, "The road doesn't move for the one who talks about it. It moves for the one who walks it." Now let me talk to you, because this isn't really about Ethan. It's about you. There's a reason you're here. A part of you is tired of waiting, tired of watching, tired of knowing you're capable of more, but not moving. So let me remind you of something you already feel deep down. Your starting point is not your story. It's just where you begin. Success isn't one big moment. It's 1,000 small decisions. Showing up when you don't feel like it. Trying again when it doesn't work. Standing back up when it would be easier to quit. That's what builds a life. So ask yourself this. What is your cargo bike? What is the smallest step you can take today? Not tomorrow, not when everything is perfect. Today. Because the longer you wait, the louder the doubt becomes. And that voice, it has killed more dreams than failure ever has. You don't need to be ready. You just need to begin. Because the world doesn't reward intention, it rewards action. So show up, start small, grow strong, and never let a hard moment convince you your dream is too big. Because nothing in this life is free, but everything is earnable.